Hello, welcome to Tony's Bonsai. I've got two Cotoneasters here. I worked on them in the spring or summer earlier this year. I did some initial chops, applied some wire, so now it's time for phase 2 of their sort of primary structure work. So let's take a closer look at this one first. I didn't do a great deal to this tree. I applied some wire here to put some movement in. I made a major chop. This is healing over really well. And I cut off a couple of other bits of branches just to simplify the composition. I'm really happy with how it's grown this year. It's got a little bit thicker, it's all healed up, and now's the time to sort of maybe start adding some extra movement in some of these longer shoots that are now developing. This branch here is lovely. It's quite thick down here and then it runs up very straight, but it's added lots of health to the tree this year, and this has done its job now. So I think the time is to remove this and allow this branch to taper up nicely. I'll just simply cut this off with my hybrid cutters, and that's gone. And that tapers in, and it's becoming a really nice branch that now. I like that. So I'll wire that in a moment, but first of all, there's another decision to make round here. This branch here is a bit different. It moves up nicely, tapering again really well, but then it forks into two. And I like that. I don't want to take one of these off to increase taper. I'm happy for that to divide and me to take these in different directions. This tree's nicely wired up now. As you can see, it's got some really good movement coming away up the main trunk. I definitely won't prune this trunk because I want this to become the main leader and grow on the strongest. It naturally comes across this way, and I want to bring that across and exaggerate it a bit more, and then take that back. Now I suspect one of these branches here, possibly this one, will become the new leader in the future. So I'm just adding a bit of extra interest, a bit of more movement, and that could be nice. So I'm not really concerned about this top section beyond here because, as I say, that won't be included. If I tilt the camera up, you can see I'm happy to just leave that nice and straight. This is the branch obviously that I just did the chop on, that's now got the really nice taper, and it comes across. I'm happy with the angle of this branch. There is a nice side branch here which I would like to come towards the camera and then take this away like that, and I think that becomes fairly interesting. It's not done too much from this view, it's not made too much difference, but as I turn it here, you can see this is nice. This comes over here, but we do have a branch coming from the sort of underneath. I'll leave it on for the time being. There's a bit of a dead one behind there that can come off. In fact, I'll leave that as well because it might have a bit of life on it, I don't know. Just quickly applied a thin piece of wire to these, and it just allows me to just put a bit of character into them, and it'll just give me more options down the line rather than having straight branches to work with. I'll have interesting character on slightly different levels and stuff. So yeah, whenever I get the chance, I'd rather make a branch interesting than leave it boring. I placed the tree back on the turntable because there are a couple of options in terms of the front. We've got this, which definitely looks good. We've also possibly got this, which I also like. So it's hard to know. I don't need to make any decisions in that respect, but what I can do is this branch that I bent earlier, which looks great from the side, if I look at it from one of the possible fronts, it's quite straight. So this is a good time to also add some lateral movement as well. which makes it a bit more interesting. And if this does, again, if this becomes the front, then we've got just that bit more movement going on. As for this branch, presuming this is the front, then this is coming quite a lot at us, this one, which is fine, I don't mind that. But I'd like it to perhaps come around like that. And that's got a lot more interest sort of when viewed from the top. And in terms of this kind of movement, I can actually take that up and down. So from the side we do have that, it's gently ascending the branch, which is okay. But if I can take that down, bring that up and across, that's just adding a bit more interest from this way. And from the front, it's also got more character. Now what we do with this one at the back is, if we look from here, which is not going to be a front, but I want the tree to look good from all set areas, this is quite a large void. So this is a natural place to bring this branch round and into. So I think that works quite well. Again, if I can also add a bit of up and down movement to it, as well as side to side, it just becomes a bit more interesting. And from this front now, which I think is the front, these all work, they all work really nicely. And also from here, if I can just push that up there, this all fills the space and works well. So it's coming together. The only one I've not done anything to yet is this, which is quite a straight branch, and I don't want to do too much with it. I'll just take it across. That wasn't my best wiring actually, that. And having gone back, it can now just twist. So there, just putting a bit of subtle movement into that there is all I want. Works well. And I'm happy with that. I think that's looking quite good. If I just take a slightly wider view as a whole of that tree now, I'm definitely looking for a three-dimensional image. There's plenty going on all around. The only area is this back area here, which, as I've said, could be a front. I've got two branches, and this one may as well come into this space. So I'll bring it around and then back. I'm kind of trying to fill this area so there isn't a blank. And all the branches are all doing the job there. I'll leave those to grow and set in the new position, and I look forward to seeing how this one develops next year. Now on to plant B. This tree's a bit more complicated. I did two chops on this, one here. It's not healing over amazingly, but it is starting to roll. And one round here, which is healing much better. So it's basically a twin trunk, as we can see from this side. So we've got two trunks coming up. A few new shoots that are coming from slightly awkward positions, I think. Especially this one down here, and this one's kind of on the inside, which I think is kind of weird. This branch that I was thinking was a bit awkward doesn't actually look too bad if I move this one out of the way. And I do need to move that one over there, and once I do, this actually becomes in really quite a good position. So I like both of those. They need wiring. I'm going to leave this to grow to try and heal that, so I don't think I'll do anything with that. This branch wants to come out, so that needs some wire. This is in a good place, but it's only young. I can leave that and wire that next year. And up at the top, we've got two branches growing strongly. I'd be tempted to remove this top one. However, I need to heal this wound, and I want this here to grow as thick as possible to help develop that taper and get rid of the awkwardness of that cut. So I'll not prune those at all. They stay. That's a couple of pieces of wire applied. The first one I want to do is this branch, which is going in the completely wrong direction into the tree, that I want to turn out of the tree. It's already got some nice movement at the base, so I just bring that round and fill this space at the front. That works really well. I'm happy with that being quite low there. This branch is the next one. Again, I want to bring this down to sort of move out from the main, out from these two main trunks as a separate branch from these. That works. And now for this one. These two are both kind of on a similar level, and I definitely wanted that one to bend down away from this main trunk, but this one can come down and then move up, I think, and fill a different kind of level to that. So yeah, I'm happy for that to come up and down and even have a bit more movement to it. Which I like. Yeah, it just gives it a bit more character. I think it can even come almost vertically up there like that. Yeah, from this side now we can see they're on kind of different planes. With this one coming down, this one coming up, you can see this one's higher, this one's lower, and that works nicely, that. This branch over the side here, I'm thinking I didn't really necessarily need to do too much wiring to this. As I said, this wants to just grow healthily, pull the sap up to heal this wound. But it doesn't hurt to just add a bit of flavour to that branch. Just make it interesting. Even take it up and then down like that. And we're getting somewhere with this. I'm not sure what the front really is. It doesn't seem to have a front in the way, a natural front in the way that the other tree did. And this is definitely not my favourite of the two. However, it's a good point actually, that. Thinking about the front. Where do I see the front? And if in fact this is the front of the tree, which I expect it will be really, it looks most likely, I definitely still like this branch coming here. That works really nicely. That one can come away a touch. So we're getting there now in terms of this being a front. This coming over here really is kind of awkward looking, and I'd like that to be more like that. That involves moving this thicker trunk. So I've obviously bent this with wire in the past, but with this new design I'm thinking, mind you, if it comes off there in the future, then we're okay, and I don't need to bend. I don't need to take this movement out of this trunk, which would seem like a waste. So yeah, that's the new leader. Remove that, Nice front coming in here. Back branch is moving away quite a lot, so perhaps if I take that upwards, bearing in mind this is going, so I don't want this leaning back too much. There. That's my design. Seeing as I've got this wire here, I may as well just add a bit of movement to the end of this branch. But I won't bother wiring these ones. I've got a junction in here with too many branches coming from one place that the last thing I'll do is just sort that out. This is really hard to see, but from here, you see we've got the 3 branches all coming there. And there's actually another one coming from here. So it's this one on the top definitely has to go. So need to get rid of that. And then still leaves us with a lot of branches all coming from the same place. So I think I'll get rid of this central one as well. This one. There. That makes it much more simple now. We've just got a fork into 2. And perhaps these 2 could have a bit of wire on them. I've quickly just put a couple of pieces of wire on these 2 straight branches, and that's going to allow me to just add a bit of movement for the future. It can be up and down movement, side to side movement, doesn't really matter. Just trying to get a bit of interest going. Something to work with down the line. I really can understand why some people go in and prune these down and wire everything, because it would no doubt look better if I removed this, that became the new leader. If I trimmed this long straight one down, that'd look better. But I'm really conscious of not doing that because I'm leaving these on for a reason. They're not there by accident, they're being left to do a job. And so I'm not interested in how the tree looks now. It's all about how this tree's going to look in the future, and yeah, I think it's got a chance of being okay. These kind of little plants like these Cotoneasters, they're super tough, they're dead hardy, they're really cheap in pretty much any nursery. If you can find a good local nursery, you can pick them up for just a few pounds, and they're great fun, perfect for bonsai, and I hope this has inspired you to have a go yourself. So as always, thanks for joining me, have a great day, and I'll see you soon.